After a virus wipes out most of humankind, the rest of its survivors reside within a city ruled by the regime that saved it. But a top assassin is tasked to take out the chairman. What would her success mean for all of mankind? Hello! Welcome to our channel. Today I'll show you an American sci-fi action flick made in 2005 called Aeon Flux. Let's check it out.
Do you know who you are?
I know I came here to kill you.
The year is 2415, and inside the walled city of Bregna is where the last 5 million humans reside. After the scientists that saved the last remnants of humanity created a vaccine against the illness, the centuries that led up to the administration of these scientists started the development of Bregna. Though the city is preferable to the wasteland surrounding it, the populace is still plagued, not by the virus, but by a psychological phenomenon, where they succumb to intermittent nightmares that haunt them constantly. Not only that, there are very few people left, but more continue to disappear without any known reason. Bregna is ruled fairly, but under an Iron Fist dynasty, the Good Childs, while a faction willing to stand up to its injustice called the Monakins. One of the Monakins' top assassins is Aeon, a ruthless killing machine with a soft side that shows up as her sister Una invites her for dinner while she gathers more information on how to infiltrate the Good Childs. Her sister tries her best to describe the mental phenomenon that has been taking place within Bregna on the implication that she knows about Aeon being a Monacan. Una's fate would be decided that night when she mistook the knocking on her door for her husband Claudius, but is instead met by Bregna police, executing her for possible Monacan association. But association with a rebel faction is not the true essence of her demise, because her death will pave the way towards the true nature of the Citadel and the person who will take it down. That same night, Aeon effortlessly infiltrated a facility that surveils Bregna's populace. One of the visuals she sees, which well depicted the sorrows of the population, is her earlier interaction with her sister. This night will decide the fate of not only hers, but the human race as a whole, when the Good Childs implant a fiery vendetta on the one person they shouldn't have. Upon discovery of Una's death, she's essentially lost everything and has transformed into a woman fueled by extreme motive, hatred, and revenge. Aeon consults with the handler of the Monacan rebel faction, who briefs her that her objective is to take out the current Good Child chairman, Trevor, whose assassination has been in the making after a year of gathering intricate information and careful planning. Doing so would also satisfy her desire for revenge. Partnered up for the task with fellow Monacan Sithandra, skilled and bodily modified with hands for feet, they head out and barge into the gardens of the Citadel.
While the assassin arranges her entrance and exit out of the facility with ease, and her assistant is on standby, and the Bregna Council of Scientists discuss policies on how to deal with the Monacans, some recommend preserving the use of force. Others insist on compromise and negotiations, but the Good Childs are having none of it, contending the maintenance of the status quo.
Ready? Always.
After the conclusion of the meeting, Trevor then speaks with his brother, Orin, expressing disagreements regarding the current state of affairs they're managing. He also asks about some experiments he conducted, only to be dispensed with unsatisfactory results. Unknown to the chairman, his brother has also been doing experiments of his own. Learning of the results prompts Trevor to do other things. Inside the vacant auditorium, Trevor practices lines for a speech, echoing around for none but him to hear. This no longer becomes the case by the time Aeon reveals herself from the curtains with a gun to his head. Aeon becomes shaken, looking towards the eyes of the chairman, who calls her by a different name, Catherine. Seeing flashes of blurred images that appear as memories disrupt her composure, the very phenomenon her late sister described. Her hesitance to kill off Trevor gets her apprehended and locked inside a cell surrounded by walls. Waking up within it, one of the walls becomes transparent, revealing Trevor once more trying to talk to her from outside. She questions him as to why he called her a name different from the one she carries, and is returned with Trevor's inquiry about her identity, much to her confusion. After he left, the cell hands her a drink she finds to be laced with something. She takes out the component of the drink out of suspicion, storing it for further research. Her escape plan then comes to fruition when the implants she laid out as she entered the facility break her out of her cell, and security is helpless in stopping her. However, her escape has dire consequences, not just for her, but for those who didn't expect it. It turns out that Oren himself went out of his way to collaborate with the Monachans to have his own brother assassinated, with full intentions of inheriting his brother's chair. Aeon escaping makes for a change of plans. Meanwhile, she discovers that her sister's husband, Claudius, is working for the Good Childs. At first, she resents him for his decision, but her brother-in-law reveals to her that by working with them, he was able to discover that there's a sickness within Bregna, with Trevor doing his best to cure it. Learning such vital information, she's driven towards Trevor even more, this time not out of murderous intent, but curiosity. She asks Claudius to assess the substance she took out of her drink, which is a message meant for Aeon telling her to go to Trevor. For this, Claudius will face extreme consequences, but not before expressing to his sister-in-law his love for his deceased wife. At night, Aeon arrives as expected, confronting Trevor about Una's death. He denies any involvement with it, while stating that his recognition of her from earlier goes way back.
Aeon can't process the information she's receiving, and every time she sees Trevor, she has less and less chances of killing him for reasons that she herself can't really even explain. Returning to Trevor meant more than just her mission, not just avenging her sister. It's as if she's drawn to him, so much so that they make love.
After she slept with Trevor, the images in her mind once more flashed, confusing her after waking up and almost accomplishing her initial task, as she choked the man she had intimacies with just a while ago, only to once more not commit fully to his elimination. Exploring his house makes her stumble upon his library, which became his lab the moment she wears an apparatus to make it visible. On a table of cylinders and beakers, she finds a photo of herself, baffling her even more. The man has already revealed to her many times he knows her, but her failure to remember distresses her even more. While examining the lab, she is met by hostilities by Trevor's security consultant, Freya. Both end up in a brawl where Aeon, with her extreme agility and preciseness, overcomes her opponent and once more makes her escape with the photo. The council finds out about Trevor's acts with Aeon, so Oren declares his brother guilty of treason, thus making him next in line for the Good Child reign. His coup d'etat primarily aims to dispose of Trevor and Aeon with the assistance from the Monacan faction as pawns first, contenders second. Aeon has breached her objective more times than she should have, forcing Sithandra to confront her about her insubordination. The once impersonal executioner has felt what it's like to be a person again, but her colleague disregards this and argues that she should stick with her mission. Their disagreement turns into a duel, with Aeon handing it to Sithandra. Winning the fight against her ex-partner, she proceeds to go for the Relical, as Sithandra is left in hiding from Good Child forces. The Relical is a squid-like airship that houses the information of Bregna's populace. Dangling on its silk-like tentacular extensions, she gets on board the ship and is greeted by its keeper, the man responsible for the maintenance of the vessel. Seeking the necessary coordinates to find out about her sister's fate, then obtaining data of her sister's whereabouts, she finds out that Una got reassigned under a different name and a different body. She discovers that her sister has been cloned into an infant child. Trevor soon followed up with her when the Keeper revealed to him where she went. Catching up with Aeon, he reveals his origins and the reasoning behind her sister's death. There had been a complication with Trevor's cure that he had developed centuries prior, making humans incapable of reproducing, so he resorted to cloning in order to preserve humanity. His dynasty exists because the two Good Childs have been clones of themselves for 7 generations. In fact, most, if not all, of Bregna's population have been clones of themselves at one point in their lives. Una, a recipient of Trevor's experiments to detect naturally occurring births in clones, whose pregnancy bore one of the first natural humans after 4 centuries, got murdered by Oren's men because the man couldn't stand the idea of a new generation.
This revelation gave Oren's soldiers enough to ambush them, and once more, Aeon makes a breakout, accompanying Trevor to make their departure from the situation, though this time with injury. Wounded, the chairman convinces his former assassin to grab his research regarding his new attempt for a cure.
Gathering forces loyal to him despite the coup, he heads out for his lab with Aeon, but only sees ash and the corpse of Freya. Anyone loyal to him, including Claudius, has been executed. While on the way to his lab, Aeon shows Trevor the photo of herself she took from his lab, and the only other reason Trevor would have it is that she means a lot to him, which she does. She is his wife, executed by Orin, and for this, he has tried every way to get her back ever since her DNA allegedly got destroyed. Their souls cry in an agonizing cycle of perpetual rebirth. So ending the cloning process is the only way for their suffering to cease. Without any other way to save themselves from the outside, let alone within, Aeon tries to convince him of another way that doesn't require the cloning of humans. It's the reason why there's an epidemic of psychological ruin plaguing Bregna, making both nothing more but ghosts within the flesh. The only way for this to be done is to have the relical taken down. But Trevor is too hesitant to let his work go, even though he himself has stated in the past for it to be only a temporary measure. Before reaching her destination, however, with assistance from the Monicans, Orin's forces apprehend Trevor and Aeon to halt them from what they're about to do. Orin, the traitorous tyrant, performs a speech diminishing the importance of his brother's supposedly new cure in favor of nature's capabilities, divulging that the sterilization effects of Trevor's initial vaccine that adversely affected the continuation of mankind no longer occurs, most likely due to evolutionary adaptation, refusing to let go of the intendedly brief cloning process his brother instigated as a way to hold on to a false sense of immortality via constant life recycling. Ironically, he is against humans progressing out of the dystopian cage he indulges in while simultaneously expressing the natural progress humanity has generated in response to the sterilization that complicated it. Atop a towering skyscraper, Sithandra, along with her fellow Monicans, precisely aim their scopes towards Trevor and Aeon while Orin is busy with his oration. But Aeon, using their neural network they communicate with during their missions, through sheer willpower and trust, persuades Sithandra not to shoot. Her doubts regarding Aeon finally disperse, so she adjusts her sights towards Orin, fires her shot, and advises her colleagues to do the same. Their firefight erupts into chaos. Orin's coup crew is eliminated at the expense of heavy Monican casualties, with Sithandra giving up her life for the cause. But her death refuses to end up in vain, as her shot against Orin weakened him enough to be finished off by Aeon. Seeing his brother die for good before him reminds Trevor of the true mortality humans bear, and he will confront his own once Aeon climbs up the relical yet again. Seeing the Keeper once more, before accepting his purpose to be over, he tells her that he preserved her DNA information from the traitorous Goodchild, for her strength is what had been needed to finally end this vicious cycle. Since she's already fulfilled what he's kept for her to accomplish, the Keeper accepts his fate with openly tired arms. The airship comes collapsing down on Bregna's walls, revealing a lush and fertile field, contrary to the uninhabitable wasteland the city's occupants have been led to believe for centuries. Humanity is free from its self-contained dystopia, and can finally have a reason to go on above and beyond for those that can do it better. Triumphant over nature and themselves, these few humans from the brink of extinction can finally cross a new frontier.
This movie showcases the great importance of progress by overcoming what inhibits us and letting go of the past to change ourselves for the better. It also describes how we humans are too full of ourselves, unwilling to get out of our comfort zones, and incapable of handling changes that don't really suit us. Of course, change does hurt, but it has to happen eventually, and it's better than turning a blind eye to it only to end up hurting more by not doing so. Adaptation is just as, if not more important, which is the running theme of the film. And it can only be done if we can figure out the more suitable approach to dealing with the challenges we face while being willing to let go of the things that keep us from getting better. Please subscribe to our channel to be notified when we upload, and don't forget to suggest movies you want us to recap in the comments down below.